Yo, automators, welcome. It is my fundamental belief that ideally AI automations should be integrated, seamlessly integrated into where your work happens already. So in our case, in the case of this video, I have an Airtable table here, and I had this idea of how cool would it be if I have some content in here. So I have a couple of records here, which are tweets, as you can see by the name of this field. And I want to extend that list on the basis of what's already there. So I push a button and more of those tweet ideas in this case, get generated. Let's get into it. Let's see how that works exactly. Yeah, welcome to today's video. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, tell a friend or colleague about it. And now let's get into it. First, I want to show you how the end result looks like if we run this. I can click on run here in this extension, and it asks me how many tweets do you want to generate. And let's say we want to generate 3 tweets. This fires, send something to Zapier. We're going to look at that in a second. And then basically should come back very soon with 3 new tweets being generated on the basis of what is already here. There we go. So the present is the future of the past, just not even experienced. It's like a variation of this famous tweet up here. And still doing things the old way, processing or organizing receipts, etc. This is a variation of a tweet of mine here where I said, Happy Monday, automate 1 task this week, still manually, etc. Some examples. So, I mean, maybe not the best, but also not the worst. Like some ideas we can play with and we can alter. Like what exactly is getting generated here is, of course, a matter of prompting and good prompting. And the purpose of this video is not to become prompting experts. The purpose of this video is how to get this to work, that actually we are having records being generated on the basis of something that is already here. So let's see how that works. As you could see, when I started running this, there's an extension installed here, and let's look at that code quickly. It's relatively short piece of code. We have a variable here, number of tweets, and basically getting the input from a user, and then if the input is a number, then we're firing something off. We're firing off a Zapier webhook, and we are basically attaching the number of tweets here. We're adding this as a URL parameter and sending it to Zapier. So that's it. Pretty straightforward. Let's go to Zapier and let's see how this works. As you could see in the last in the extension, the trigger is catching a webhook. This basically gives us a webhook address, and this has been used here in the extension. When that webhook is received, something is going to happen. The actions are going to happen. As you can see here in the test step, it has that number of tweets attached. So in this case, 3 or whatever we add there. And we're going to see in a second why that is relevant and where we are using that number again. Next step is finding records. The Airtable action has an event called find many records. And if we go to the action, of course, we have to set the base, the table, etc. And then we have to search by a field. In our case, we search by the field likes. So I have a like count here. As you can see, not that many likes on my tweets. And then we have a search formula. So we say when likes is greater than 3. This can be anything you want. Maybe you have 500 likes on average on your tweets, then turn it to greater than 500 or whatever you want to set this to. All I want to show you is we can limit the input that we're passing to ChatGPT, to the AI, on some parameter, on some criteria in our base. So in this case, it was this likes field. This is a numbers field, and we can say if likes are greater 3, then please include this type of tweet, that record, in the selection. We can continue here, and that gives us let me actually retest this. This gives us all the records back that sort of meet that criteria. I think this is capped at 10 records here in the action, but I'm not 100% sure. Potentially this is capped at 10 records. So now we got 3 back in our case because all of those 3 have more than 3 likes, and we can work with that. The next thing we need to do is we need to take those line items, those 3 individual records that we got, and turn them into a text. Why do we do that? We do that because we want to we want to push that text into ChatGPT. We want to add that to our ChatGPT prompt so that ChatGPT can do something with it. And Zapier gives us something here, which is called the formatter. The event is utilities. And then in here, we have a transform action, which is line item to text. So what the Airtable action here is returning is line items, and we can transform these line items with the help of the formatter action into text. So if we see how that looks like, let me also just retest this on the basis of those 3. We get this output text here that we're interested in. And that output text is basically all of the tweets that we had here, because that we set here as the input. We set from our second step the tweets. So we're only interested in whatever is sort of here in the tweet field. And then these are comma separated. So if you don't set a different separator here, then it's a comma by default. So this was the first one, then this is the second one, and then here starts the third tweet. So these 3 are now in one block of text, which is exactly what we want, because now we get to step 4, our ChatGPT conversation. So you use ChatGPT as an action, event is a very, very typical conversation. And then in the action step is sort of where the magic happens. We add a prompt here, our user message, please generate X number of tweets that we pull from the parameter that we pass to the webhook. In our case, 3 tweets based on the sample tweets provided below and return as valid JSON in the given schema. Schema for a response is, and then I'm giving the schema here as an example. Maybe we could also do this like that. So it understands that it could also be more, but it already worked with how I did it before. And then we're adding the result, sort of that output text from the formatter step, step 3. And here we're basically adding that input from our Airtable table. I'm using GPT-4 here. This is not the latest model at the moment, but it works quite well for what we're doing here. I changed the assistant instructions to your social media expert that only replies with JSON. Basically, you want to get ChatGPT here to reply with the JSON, because that is machine readable. In the next step, we can do something with that, because what we want to do with it is we want to take that JSON response that comes out of the step 4, out of the ChatGPT step, and create records out of it. So we need to have some sort of line item logic so we can create multiple records out of that. So that's why I say you please only reply with the JSON. I've done that here in the prompt as well. Return as valid JSON in the given schema. I'm even giving the schema here. The schema is an array. So these square brackets and then objects in that array. Object 1, object 2 for, so the first one for tweet 1, then tweet 2, etc. So I'm basically instructing ChatGPT to return JSON. There, that's why I have this open here. There is a JSON mode. It's relatively new in the OpenAI API for the chat completion endpoint. So for the ChatGPT endpoint, you can set response format to JSON. I'm not sure whether Zapier has that already. I don't think they have included this. At least I couldn't find it. It's not really documented anywhere currently. Once they make that available, that's going to be great. Then we don't really have to instruct in this way anymore. The reason why OpenAI included this is because many, many people do it this way. They basically told ChatGPT, please only reply with the JSON. And then sometimes it doesn't work, right? And it can sort of be, ChatGPT is not 100% deterministic. It doesn't reply over this with the same result. So it can lead to errors. This actually works really, really well. So otherwise I wouldn't shoot this video about it. But the 100% fail-safe way is to add this JSON mode, which currently is not available within the Zapier integration. Hopefully soon it will be. We continue. The rest we just stays the same. I also changed the temperature to 0.2. So very, very low value. Actually, let me change this to 0, as deterministic as possible. We don't really want any crazy creative output, but I think we need to balance that a bit in terms of it sticking to the JSON format, but at the same time, we of course want some creativity when it comes to the messages itself. So that's where a little bit of balancing is needed. And then we get that content back here. So there we go. Is it basically we see it starts as an array, and then the first tweet, second tweet, third tweet. So this one, for instance, exciting updates on the horizon for Doxometer. Stay tuned for more. This is on the basis of big things coming up for Doxometer, as an example. Fifth step, we need, this is just text that ChatGPT replied. Now we need to take JavaScript and we need to turn that into real JSON. So we use run JavaScript. We say input data is some text. I could also just call this text. And then we are taking the reply here. Sorry, it's a bit small. The reply from ChatGPT. And then we say, call this pass JSON, await JSON.pass, and then we're adding that text. And here it's very important that what we're adding here is actually a text representation of valid JSON. Otherwise, it would fail. So that's why we're so picky about how we're instructing ChatGPT in step 4, because this needs to be a text representation of JSON. And by the way, this is doesn't really mean anything to you. I have a course coming up for Airtable scripting, and we're going to go over basic JavaScript there, and JSON will definitely be part of it. We console log what's of the output, what this output is, this pass JSON, and then we return it from Zapier. If you're also not familiar with how this code step here in Zapier works, this basically is a bit like there's a bit of its own notation in here. You have to define this output step here, for instance, and input data is also something that Zapier here just defines. So input data is how you reference whatever you have put in, and then on that sort of an object, and on here is JSON as one, and then output is again an object pass JSON. And if we do that and retest this, you can sort of see these lines again. 1 a tweet, 2 a tweet, and the third one. There we go. And then we can go to the 6th step, which is creating those records in Airtable. And we take an Airtable action. The event is create records. And then the create records basically accepts this, has this. So you need to set the base and then the table, and then it sets the line items. And for the line items, we just take whatever we have passed here in the 5th step. So that JSON. That now is an array of objects, and we can just add that here. And if we do that and we test that, then we're adding 3 again now. There we go. These are the 3 that we've now generated as part of our testing step. And now we have 3 records being created in the same table where we had our sample content. Yeah, and that's it. That's how you can use content that exists in a table in Airtable and generate more of it. This can be extended in various ways. You could pass a prompt from the extension here. Of course, you can. You should definitely play around with the prompt itself, make it better, adjust it to your use case. This, of course, isn't only limited to generating tweets or content pieces. This could basically generate any type of content that is already there. Feed that content that is already there, or feed those records that are already there via Zapier to ChatGPT, generate more of it, and then add it back into Airtable. So I've done this like with this example in mind of producing content, but this could extend to very like to many use cases. Maybe you have a sample data table and you want to produce more of that sample data. Many use cases that don't really come to mind currently, but I'm sure you adjust this according to your needs. Hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, please subscribe and like and tell a friend or colleague about it. And see you next time. Happy automating. Bye.